And now let's finally get into men's soccer and wrap up this Golden Grizzlies sports section here. As similar to the women's soccer, the men's soccer team has had their preseason polls voted on by the Horizon League, and the Golden Grizzlies remain on top. The reigning regular season champions of the Horizon League, they maintain their number one spot, although, according to the poll, it's a very crowded top half of the league for the Horizon League, as Oakland University is in first place with 75 votes. Cleveland State is 73. And then below them, tied for third, is Green Bay, the reigning tournament champions, as well as IUPUI tied with 71. So only a few votes are the gap for the top four teams in the league, but Oakland still does make the number one spot in the preseason poll. They are returning 3 all-league selections, that being Jace Foster as part of the all-league first team, and 2 members of the previous freshman team, Carson Bala and Noah Roca, who we've seen a little bit during the offseason on the Michigan Soccer Network. They played on some of the clubs that we covered. Specifically, Carson Bala, I think, was on Inter Detroit in the Midwest Premier League, but correct me if I'm wrong. We covered a whole lot this summer for MSN, but Oakland's got some power coming back, but who's not coming back is former head coach Eric Pogue. It will be Coach Paul Duroh, former assistant coach, now interim head coach of the Golden Grizzlies. Paul Duroh will be running the show for the Golden Grizzlies this season as they try to defend the regular season title and hope to gain and regain that regular season championship that just eluded them last year against Green Bay. So, a lot going into this season. They got a couple of regular season games under their belts. Their club day was this past August 22nd, where they hosted University of Nebraska at Omaha. That one was also club day. The women's soccer had the same thing as I was mentioning before. That one ended in a 1-2 loss for the Golden Grizzlies. And then they traveled to Ann Arbor to face the Wolverines, a team that they beat last year at the Oakland soccer field. We covered it on WXOU. I was on the call with Harja Buttar, and it was a fantastic game, very thrilling. Donovan Phillip had the game-winning goal, I think with 5 minutes left to go, with a crossing header that knocked it in. Malik Sylvester got the first goal of the game to get them the 2 goals they had. And it was a lot of fun to watch. I think we got highlights all the way at the beginning of the WXOU sports page. So if you want to see some archives and that, I would suggest you go and watch me and Harj. I had an interview with Donovan Phillip after the game, and our microphones weren't turned on, so we had to use just the camera audio that was catching a whole bunch of background, but it was a lot of fun to do. So for now, this year's rematch in Ann Arbor, it went the opposite way. The Wolverines beat the Golden Grizzlies 2-1, where in that match, it was Michigan that struck first in the 28th minute by Jason, let me zoom in because it's tiny text. Jason Bucknor scored in the 28th minute, and it would be Jack Klomperens of the Golden Grizzlies that would equalize it in the 41st minute, setting it into a tie match going into halftime. But unfortunately, in the 56th minute, one squeaked through as Grayson Elmquist of the Wolverines put it to the back of the net, giving them the 2-1 lead, that being the game-winning goal for the Wolverines. It was a bit of an even match in terms of the stats here. Oakland had 8 shots. University of Michigan had 7. U of M had 4 shots on goal, though. That was advantage to the Golden Grizzlies. They only had 1, and that one was the shot that got it in for Klomperens. But other than that, Oakland would give up 5 corner kicks and only have 1. Meanwhile, the fouls would stay at even. So it was a bit of an even match when you look at the box score, but for soccer, the box score only tells you so much. You'd have to watch the game yourself, but I don't have Big Ten Network, or I don't have Big Ten Plus, so I had to go by word of mouth for that one. And now getting into the details of the previous game, because I skipped over it, against University of Nebraska at Omaha. It would be Omaha that scored first in the 42nd minute. Oakland in the second half would then equalize it in the 58th minute by Andre Billos, before Oakland would unfortunately give up a goal in the 82nd minute, giving Omaha the game-winning goal and the game. For the stats here, Oakland had a lot more shots than Omaha. They had a 14-8 advantage, but it got a lot closer when it came to shots on goal, 6-5 in favor of the Golden Grizzlies. But other than that, most of the stats pretty even across the board. And it just ended up not going the Golden Grizzlies' way as they still look to find their first win of the season under head coach Paul Duroh. So for some of the games that they got coming up, I didn't put it in my notes, so we're going to search it up right now. There. So coming up for the Golden Grizzlies, they will be going on the road to Butler University on Friday at 7 o'clock before they come home next Friday, September 6th, against former Horizon League member UIC. They come to the Oakland soccer field Friday, 7 o'clock, September 6th is the place to be. It is to welcome back all students. And there will be activities for students at the game, so be sure to get down there. And then Monday, September 9th, I won't go too much farther in the calendar than here. September 9th, Monday at 7 o'clock, they will be hosting the Michigan State Spartans as well. That one will be Military and First Responders Appreciation Night. So be sure to get out there to the Oakland soccer field and to the arena for all the Golden Grizzlies action that's going to be coming up in the early month of September or this last week of August. A lot going on, so be sure to go on and cheer on your Golden Grizzlies. And that one will wrap up our coverage of the Golden Grizzlies this week. I'm so glad we got new stuff to cover this time because it is, listen, the summer for sports, it's a drag. And when you watch shows and you listen to podcasts about sports, listen, everyone knows the dead period. I try my best to leave the nonsense out of it with reviews and giving you guys context for what happened and all that kind of stuff. But man, it's just so nice to finally have new sports to talk about. It makes my job a whole lot easier. I just got to look up the schedule, the scores, and keep up to date with it as I go as we roll here on the GioMoShow. So we're going to take a break here for halftime before we talk about the Detroit Lions and finally a little bit of NFL stuff as that has exited the nonsense period as well. So we'll be right back here on the GioMoShow.